welcome to the newest episode of Show Me Your Diamond. I am Giulia Castelli, your host. I am a diamond huntress and a hypnotherapist. I hypnotize my clients and then I sell them diamonds. Well, jokes aside, I really do source diamonds, jewels, and rare gems from around the world for very, very special private clients. And I am also a hypnotherapist and rapid transformational therapist. So I work with the inner and outer diamond. Today, my diamond and my guest on the podcast is the amazing James Keys. He is an incredible human, first of all, but then also an extremely successful businessman. He's the former CEO of 7-Eleven, the former chairman and CEO of Blockbusters, and I think you have other titles, but please introduce yourself, James.
Hello, Julia. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be one of your diamonds in the rough. I need a little polish, but...
I can help with that, but okay. Looking at you, I think you're shining already.
Well, thank you.
So what shall we ask this brilliant man? I would need many, many episodes with him to get all his wisdom and all his stories. But why don't we start with your biggest low and your biggest high, or maybe the funniest, whatever you prefer.
Biggest low and biggest high. You know, I've come to learn that the lows are only temporary, and that problems come and go, and it is a learning opportunity. And if you can learn from every one of those lows, then you'll rebound into a high. And so I could give you a whole host of lows, but the lows ended up turning into good things. And so, you know, I can honestly say that in fact, I have a favorite quote that I use from Nelson Mandela, who said, "I never fail." He said, "I win or I learn."
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and so if we can learn from our lows, then you'll only have highs, right?
Oh, I love that. That's how I would like to take life from now on. What about some of your highs, some of your happiest moments from your path so far? Because the path is long, there will be many more, but until now, any of your favorites to share with us?
I have so many, but one of the things that I think, if I look back on my career, one of the things that was so fulfilling, we had an opportunity to celebrate the 75th anniversary of 7-Eleven. And it was right on the heels of 9/11, which was a pretty troubling time for many, and for 7-Eleven it was troubling because we had many first-generation Americans, we had bricks thrown through windows, we had a lot of challenges. Talk about some of those lows, those were pretty scary times. But to celebrate the 75th anniversary, we took all of our franchisees and licensees from all over the world, representing 135 countries. We took them to Ellis Island in New York. So here we were in the shadow of the Statue of Liberty with the fireworks display. Here we were in the shadow of the Statue of Liberty with the fireworks display overhead, celebrating the unique cultures that made 7-Eleven great all over the world. And it was just it was a fabulous experience. It was a unification experience to bring us all together in gratitude for what we shared together as a company. And it's one of those experiences very few people get to have, and especially in a big global company like that, to be able to bring people together and celebrate the differences that made us great. It was a fabulous experience.
Two words that I heard from that beautiful story are together and gratitude. And what an amazing thing to say from a CEO of such a huge corporation, because usually when I interview successful people and I ask them about successes and their highs in their careers, they come and they say millions, billions. And here you are talking about bringing the people together and being grateful. Well, is that one of the formula of success of 7-Eleven and maybe Blockbuster and everywhere you work? Because it must come from you as a great CEO, as a leader. And I believe everything comes from the leader. If the leader has those values, then the company will succeed.
Well, there's something that is called the tone at the top. And the tone at the top matters. It is the standard set for the company by the leader or for the country. This is not just a corporate thing. It's leaders of any kind of organization, whether it's a church group, a corporation, or a country. The tone at the top is critical. So I've, in the course of trying to research leadership and teach leadership, I've developed something I call the hierarchy of success. And you'll appreciate this because the foundation, it's a pyramid, if you will, but the foundation of that pyramid is something I call character. And I define character, I show the building blocks of character as integrity, squarely in the middle of that foundation, but gratitude, humility, compassion, appreciation for others, understanding of cultural literacy is the next tier in the pillar. Collaboration with others is the next tier in this hierarchy of success. And I think those things are essential elements of leadership for any leader of any kind, maybe even for someone leading their family, to be able to establish that tone at the top that gives everyone in that organization, the family unit, the corporation, the country, a sense of confidence that they have the moral compass, the North Star, to lead in the right direction.
I think more corporations need James to teach them leadership. And only recently, I actually started viewing myself and anyone who has a small business or a family as a leader, because previously I thought that leaders are only those big CEOs, managing directors, but actually, as you said rightly, leadership starts from the smaller unit, from the family, and then to small company, and then a bigger corporation, and then the world as the biggest unit to us. Obviously, there's the galactic, and we could also go further, but let's not discuss astrology, astronomy at this podcast. We have so many other interesting things to ask James. James, a question I ask every guest. Show me your diamond. Me being a queen of diamonds, I have to speak about diamonds.
I don't know if I can show you. It's buried in my chest.
Oh, well, go ahead. You can undress.
Wait, that's for another podcast.
Oh, yes, you're right. And probably shouldn't be. Oh, maybe we should keep it. Show me your diamond still.
There you go. Yeah, it could be. It could be. No, and so, in all seriousness, if you say, what is your diamond? What is that thing that you would say is the most important attribute? I would characterize it as my heart. I think I have a good heart, and it's filled with gratitude for what I've been able to accomplish and what others have been able to accomplish with me, and so I'm constantly trying to polish that diamond with those elements of character, as I said, that can help others when they look at me feel that sense of confidence. In fact, I have a prayer, and this could be a meditation. It doesn't matter your religious preference, but what I turn to a higher authority for is the request that others will see in me that goodness and have confidence as a result, so that I can effectively lead.
Beautiful. Wow.
I'm not always successful, by the way. Sometimes it doesn't work, but...
Well, look, I think...
I'm human.
Yes, if your heart is in the right place and we remove the perfectionism,
Yeah.
then it's always right. Because as you said, we don't fail, we learn.
Right. We're going to replace perfectionism with positivity, because if you have that positive attitude that you can accomplish anything, and even if you fail, even if you fall short, next time you'll get it right. And that sense of attitude. In fact, I've coined an expression that I think your viewers would like. I've in the course of having to deal with so much change in my life and so much change in my corporate life, I've had companies go through financial restructuring, complete market meltdown when the financial crisis would hit and all companies would be under duress. What I've found is that change equals opportunity. And I've coined that expression CEO because it is the very nature of a CEO. It's the very nature of leadership to be able to manage change, to be able to see it coming, and rather than react to it. And we're all humans, so we do. I too sometimes react negatively because, our human instinct is we're ready to fight if something bad happens or run away. And instead, if we can have a proactive response, understand that change could be an opportunity and find what that opportunity is inside that dark cloud, that catastrophic situation, and then pursue that opportunity to the other side of the storm. It works.
I cannot even begin to imagine the stress under which a CEO, a chairman of a huge corporation lives. Because I have had teams, but nothing so huge, and it's already stressful. And it's stressful to be a parent. How do you deal with stress in such incredible and extraordinary situations like you described? In corporations, that big things happen. So when something goes wrong, it goes big on a very big scale.
Yeah, it can be very stressful, but there are a couple of things. One is it's not personal. Business, leadership, we tend to take it personally. If something happens, we feel bad. Our feelings get hurt. And it's not personal, it's business. There are going to be bad articles written. There are going to be people that say nasty things about you. And you just have to stay the course. As long as you're doing the right thing, supported with the best information you have, then you don't have anything to worry about. You don't have to take on that stress. And then the other thing I'll share with you is I've found that a good way to balance stress is to find a natural internal balance between what I'll call faith and reason. And again, pick your faith. It could be Yoda telling Luke, may the force be with you. That was a metaphor for faith of some sort. Believe. And this balance between faith and reason is so powerful because if you think about it, in fact, Pope John Paul, I will use a religious reference here, but Pope John Paul wrote about this once, and he said that the combination of faith and reason are like two wings that elevate the human spirit toward the truth. And I love that, because if you think about it, if we are armed with a belief and armed with the ability to use knowledge and reason to solve any problem, then we have nothing to fear. Absolutely nothing to fear. We can accomplish virtually anything with the power of those two forces.
I love what you just said. It's very, very powerful, very, very important. And in the same way, do you think it's similar or different, but still it's also very important in our society to balance the feminine and the masculine?
Yes. Yeah, we're a good balance.
Yes, we are,
Yeah.
and the dark and the light.
Exactly.
And that's true. I
You're
mean,
the
in
light.
life, thank you, and you're the elegant gentleman. I think it's so important that we understand that life is never one color.
Yeah.
There's always the light and the dark. There's always the negative and the positive. There's always the reason and the logic. And you don't need to choose. You just need to understand them and use them to your advantage in that pursuit of the good.
Yes, exactly. Well, in fact, I've written a chapter about it in my book.
Please tell us about your book. I can't wait to read it. And where can people already buy it?
Sure.
Where do they find it?
Yes, it's available on Amazon and Amazon.com and other online bookstores. It's available in some physical form in bookstores, but I can't say where, particularly in the UK. But it is available. The book is titled Education is Freedom, the Future is in Your Hands. And I mean that quite literally, because with the power of technology today, we have the ability to overcome any challenge that's thrown our way by using knowledge, by using access to data, by believing in ourselves. And again, armed with those two things, we can accomplish anything. But back to your point about our differences. I have a chapter in the book that I call Cultural Literacy. And I didn't call out specifically gender differences, but I called out differences in people, period, whether it's racial, religious, gender. And my point was that I use a metaphor for people by looking at a symphony orchestra. I had the privilege once of leading, I was chairman of the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. I'm sitting on stage and watching a rehearsal. And I'm looking at all of these instruments. And I thought, what if these instruments were people? Don't you know that the violins would be looking at the bass going, kind of overweight, isn't he? Right? And the bass would be looking at the trumpets going, you're brassy. And everybody would be looking at the oboe going, you're just weird. You look funny and you sound funny. But when they come together, they make a beautiful harmony. And to me, it's a perfect metaphor for people because, yes, people look at each other. You're weird. You dress funny. You're a girl. I'm a boy. We're different. No, those differences are magic. And when we come together in harmony, it's a beautiful thing. And that's what humanity is all about. That's what separates us from everyone else on the planet, every other creature on the planet. Our ability to celebrate our differences and to come together and to use our humanity to make beautiful music.
I love how you put it with music, and of course, me being in the jewelry industry, I would say we are all like the diamonds. There's not one like the other, and we all have flaws, unless you're the flawless diamond, which is so rare, almost doesn't exist. But those will be probably the models, the athletes in our world. But you know what? Again, we don't compare because we're all different and we celebrate our differences because, as you said, all those diamonds or gems coming together, they make a beautiful piece of jewelry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes the more different the stone, the more beautiful the necklace or the bracelet, right?
Yes.
Because they can come together and create a cacophony of light, right?
Yes. Well, we're quite poetic here. I believe positivity plus positivity makes this,
double
poem,
positivity.
Double positivity. So, what else do I ask? That I'm so lucky to be in your presence for a third day in a row. I'm so lucky. I heard James talk at a huge finance conference for very high net worth individuals and businesses, and then yesterday for a very private mastermind with global women, and today he's all mine. So I want to ask all the important questions that my viewers and my listeners would like to hear. What would you say for you, what is success and what is happiness? I'm always fascinated by the different answers I get. What are those for you?
It's very hard for me because every day is a new adventure. And some people say, well, what's your plan? What are you striving for? And I'm embarrassed to say sometimes that I don't know, because what I've done, and the difference is I've opened my heart and I have my antenna up and I am receptive to opportunity. So when that opportunity comes, I go after it and I find I learn something new. I have a brand new adventure. And life for me, literally every day, I never know what adventure is going to come down the path. Just today, I've been able to have new adventures and meet new people and new experiences. So to me, that's what happiness is to be able to pursue what all of the richness that life has to offer. And the key to it is learning to learn. So I can virtually do anything. I went to an art exhibit this afternoon, and I'm learning the new use of technology to bring immersive art to the world. And I'm actually partnering with the Vatican to be able to take the Sistine Chapel in an immersive experience to share it with the world, so you don't have to go to Rome to be able to see some of the beauty of the art in Rome. These are the kinds of things. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, even just that for many people would be the work of a lifetime. But what a big dream. And actually, it's so real. You're already doing it. Would you give advice to people to dream big?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I share this with people all the time. It's so much easier to lead with big ideas, with big dreams, because anyone can come up with more of the same, a little at a time. And it's hard to inspire people, but why not shoot for the moon? I have a favorite expression. I put the world on the cover of the book on purpose because I've had the privilege of being friends with a number of astronauts, and they have a perspective of the world that's very different from the perceptions that make us react every day, that make us angry. And my favorite expression that comes from my friends who are astronauts are perispera ad astra, from adversity to the stars. And it just says it so well, that anything is possible. John F. Kennedy in 1964 said, we're going to put a man on the moon this decade. And he said, we're not going to do it because it's easy. We're going to do it because it's hard. And he accomplished it. And everyone thought he was crazy when he said this, but he was allowing himself to dream big. And that dream captured the imagination of an entire nation and the entire world. And so why not? Why not? Let it rip. Dream big.
Dream big. And I love the subtitle of the book, The Future is in Your Hands. And this is the perspective. Wow. So, do you consider yourself successful?
Not yet.
Not
I'm still
yet.
working on it. I told you I was a diamond in the rough. I got some edges that need to be polished yet. No, I consider myself to be very fortunate because I put myself in position to have opportunities that have been amazing. To have the privilege of leading 2 Fortune 500 companies is something that very few people can say they've had.
2. Wow, not 1, but 2.
2, yeah. But at the same time, I grew up wanting to be an astronaut. I'm not there yet.
But
Yeah.
I think with all your connections and the people you know,
never know.
Maybe on the next episodes, James will be sharing with us about that journey. Who knows? I
You
love
never know.
that.
But here's what success is for me. Success is to be able to say a couple of things. One is that I'll leave this planet a better place than when I came in my small way. If I can just change one life by someone reading this book and feeling empowered to do great things, I don't have to change the world. I don't have to be a success. But if I motivate and inspire others, then who knows what could happen.
I think this is the biggest thing we could do is to give. I found that this is my formula of happiness, because when you give, when you write that wisdom in a book, but also just even just hopefully people who hear or see this chat of ours, just heart to heart, human to human, I am sure there will be people who are inspired just by listening, just by seeing, and please read the book because there's so much wisdom and I can't wait to read it. And if you wrote it, it means the universe knows that we need your wisdom because each of us has its own path, own experience, own story. And James, have you experienced hardship or adversity in your life? Like big time, not small things. Because now I know you lead an incredibly privileged life. You live in Dallas, one of the richest places in the world. I believe I have heard you flying planes. I mean, tell us about your crazy hobbies and what you love, but also compare it from a darker place where you have been.
Well, as I said, I lead a life of gratitude because I can do things that are somewhat unusual. I'm able to fly an airplane, not just fly an airplane, I can fly anywhere in the world at 40,000 feet without a co-pilot. Because how do you get to do that? You train, you learn. And I've been licensed to be able to have that privilege to be it. So I'm basically trained with the commercial pilots that are in the front of the airliners. So I have that privilege of doing that. But I'm also, as I said, I'm pursuing everything that life has to offer. So I've nurtured my creative side. I like to write music. I like to paint. I'm an artist. I've won a few awards. Shocking me.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm absolutely an amateur artist, but I've competed against real artists and actually won. And I've been a published musician, now a published author. What I've found is that I can do anything, and so can you.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of learning to learn. And once you learn to learn, you can apply that to doing virtually anything you choose to do if you allow yourself to go down that path. So yeah, I've been privileged. But to your question, it wasn't always that way. You might think, oh, well, he grew up in a wealthy family and he went to the best schools and, was sent to art school or pilot school. No.
No?
No. I grew up in a 3-room shack, no running water, no heat, no air conditioning, in New England, which was very cold and snowy in the wintertime. You had to trudge 100 yards to go to the outhouse, literally. And it was a very humbling environment. And no one in my family went to school. No one was expected. There were zero expectations of me. My father used to say, somehow, Jim, in education is the answer, because they can take your money, they can take your car, they can take your house, but they can't take what you know. And literally at 10 years old, I came walking home from school and I saw a red sign on the door of our home. And I had to look up what the word condemned meant. I didn't know what it meant. And it meant they were going to take our house. Wow. And shut it down. And my dad was shipped off to a veterans hospital, and I was shipped off to live with relatives. And these things happen. Now, I don't want anyone to feel pity, because it turned out it was the best thing in many ways. I talk about adversity as strength. I am who I am today because that hardship forced me to have a resilience and an independence that made me turn to education as the path out. So rather than have my head down and say, woe is me, I'm a victim, I said, I'll figure this out. I have to, I'm on my own. And I did. And so my mission now is to share with others. We all have adversity. I don't want anyone to suffer the kinds of challenges that I faced as a child. But we all have adversity. And if we can turn that adversity, however small, maybe if somebody bullied you or someone's mean to you, turn that into learning and turn it into opportunity. And anyone can turn their life around and really enjoy unlimited success. I believe anyone is capable. If I can do it, anyone can do it, I'm sure.
I love that. I love you sharing something so personal. And I love how you see it as a strength. Like yourself, I have grew up in a small town in Bulgaria, post-communist Bulgaria. And yeah, very small girl, small town, no one has heard about. But then I read those novels of Daniel Steele about successful American women having decision-making power, shopping whenever they want, just flying around. And I guess by reading, I envisaged it so vividly that later I actually manifested it. I went to live in the States, I lived in Manhattan, I had a big girl job, very fancy, flying around, being in magazine, on TV. And same here, I feel so privileged, and without this I wouldn't be able to transform so easily. I was also in the States when September 11 happened. I have had many points in my life that were pretty hard, divorcing one of those, and having to start life from scratch 2 times in 2 different countries. But now I actually feel that whatever happens, I can get out of it. This is the role model I want to be for my children. And if I can inspire someone, I would love that. That's why I do my podcast, and I'm writing my first book, Polish Your Diamond Within, a 7-step guide to finding your light. And I want to bring people like you shining the light on the world, sharing knowledge and positivity. Thank you so much, James. It's been amazing. I'm very grateful to have you on this podcast. How do people find you? For the book, When the Stood, Amazon, and just you could Google Education is Freedom, James Keys. And do you have a website, James
Couple of
Keys?
ways, yes. James W. Keys, KEYES.com is my website. The book is, I have a site for the book. It's educationisfreedombook.com. And you can order it from that site or just go straight to Amazon. Yeah, I'm out on social media as @JKeysAuthor. Mm-hmm. So I've got quite a social media following I've been developing. And here's my wish for you. I've had one of the most amazing things. You've said, what gives you happiness? I have had people approach me on airplanes, not my own, but on a commercial flight. I've had people come up to you in a restaurant and say, I was inspired by something you said, taught, or did. I had created a foundation by the same name, and I've had young people come up and say, I would not have gone to college, but for your advice that I could do it, that I could accomplish this. And there's nothing better. I wish that for you, to be able to have an unlimited number of people the rest of your life come up to you and say, thank you for just giving me the inspiration to change my life. It's a beautiful thing. There's nothing better.
Thank you. From my heart to your heart, and how they taught us. We're also brothers and sisters since yesterday.
That's
we
right.
had a beautiful ceremony. Thank you, James.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.